Honorable, are we heading for the Third World War? Yes, it is true, we are. The world is going to go through a new revolution of AI, and for sure, yeah, the UN has already collapsed. Yes, it's true. And certainly the ICC is going to collapse. And that means it's going to be the law of the powerful. If anyone from a powerful country wants to grab you, they will grab you. And that will replicate in smaller countries. We are going to see a proper return to proper dictatorship. Yes, thank you very much. Yes. So I thank you very much for always interacting. This one is asking me, Honorable, what do you have to say about Museveni? Yeah, what has kept Museveni in power for 40 years? What do you think is his strong point? One of his strong points is being extremely kind and generous. These 2 points are the biggest integral points that have, in my opinion, kept him in power, but also being strategic and deploying proper tactics at proper times, not investing his trust in people and investing his time in his plan. Trusting his plan, not trusting people. Yeah. In my opinion, he has been very kind, extremely kind and extremely generous. If you want to understand whether what I'm saying is not true, try out any other country other than Uganda, and you'll find out. So it's his generosity, kindness, and strategic vision as a person vis-a-vis being rational, erratic, and emotional. Those that contest against him are heavily emotional and not highly strategic. Yeah. You can dispute what I say. You can have your own version of what you think, but I respond to those that have asked me. You can even harm. You can even harm. But that's the reality. America, Honorable, what do you think about the decline of the US? The US must depend on 3 things. 1, the world order, the military, and the petrodollar. If it wants to conquer manufacturing, the petrodollar will definitely collapse. The dollar will collapse. The United States of America depends on a highly inflated value of the dollar in order to control the world order through different certification and being used as the gateway of all international transactions. So the moment that collapses, definitely the US will collapse. I don't think the US will let that happen. That is why they have things like associations or organizations like the CIA, and its role is to promote the hegemony of the USA. The USA also has made it an issue to make sure that whosoever needs to come closer to it would be the control of the oil belt, and it will always make sure there are wars in the Middle East. For as long as there is war in the Middle East, the US will always continue to remain strong. For as long as the Arabs who own much of the oil are divided and fighting one another, definitely the US will survive on that. Yeah, that's how the petrodollar survives. Otherwise, if it lets them out of its own hegemony, then they'll have to fall to another power, which will be China. And the moment the Middle East falls to China, the USA empire collapses automatically. USA doesn't benefit from Philippines or those countries, or even South America. Its hegemony is hedged on the petrodollar. And 40% of the dollars are definitely, of the petroleum and gas in the world, is basically Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Iran, UAE, Kuwait, and that belt that you see. So basically US's survival is based on having war in that area. And that's why you've seen wars since the 1970s. Yeah. So wherever there is serious oil and minerals, there must be war. There is no question about that. Yeah, someone talks about Venezuela. For sure, where there is no mineral, like in Malawi, they are not interested because there is nothing. There is basically no minerals. They can have their democracy and everything. They change governments every 5 years, but with zero development because there is basically nothing. So there is a reason why there is war in Sudan, the North Sudan, which has Khartoum and Darfur. There was a reason why wars were sponsored in Chad. Yeah, because the reason there is war in North Sudan is the reason there is war in Somalia. Somalia has oil, Somalia has rare earth minerals, Somalia has manganese, and then it's on the gateway of the Red Sea, you know, the Bab el Mandeb, Somaliland, as you turn around the Red Sea. Yeah, so the same happens to Sudan because of its access through Port Sudan. And that is why war was inevitable in Sudan. It's about the gold in Sudan, the oil, but again, who controls the gateway to... That's why such countries need great leaders. Someone says Congo, Honorable, you're spot on. Then another one says, Honorable, why is Spain very popular of recent? Because of its Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, who is an amazing Prime Minister. This is the only leader with a spine at the moment who has stood up against America and told them, no, enough is enough, we'll stand up against you. Of course, he's under immense pressure from the far right, those people that you've heard that only believe that the white man should lead the world and that black people are lesser human beings. Of course, the black people on this platform, you have to understand that this is a big challenge. I've heard Muhammad Ali, the way Muhammad Ali was speaking, and he was saying what they went through being renamed in slavery, dehumanized, their names removed from them, loss of culture, loss of tradition, and he was talking about the reason as to why he did not choose the religion of those that oppressed him through slavery. And it was an amazing discussion by Muhammad Ali that I've found one of the most interesting interviews ever heard of. Yeah. Honorable, have you seen that the war has been paused between America and Iran? Of course, the United States of America cannot defeat Iran because it has superior firepower, but it cannot defeat Iran because the people of Iran are a very proud people, and it was fed on wrong intelligence by those that wanted to force it into war, of course, led by Israel into a war, which was a war of choice. And I think for the first time, President Donald Trump, not for the first time, but recurrently had misjudgment. This was a proper misjudgment. They underestimated the power of Iran, thinking it would not close the Strait of Hormuz. Now we are going into the 5th month running with crazy oil prices and leading to nearly a global recession. So America is stuck. It has its pride, but America went into the war with Iran with 4 goals. 1, to kill and overthrow all the leaders of Iran and overthrow the government. It did not happen. It went to support rioters, which it armed using the Kurds. It did not happen through the riots, regime change. It said it would defeat the regime and it would collapse in 30 days. It did not happen. It said the Iranian economy would collapse in a very short time. It's still going. It said it had crushed the nuclear sites of Iran and crushed everything, including their military. Absolutely, it wasn't true. The Iranian military is still very strong. The nuclear stockpiles are still buried under the ground, but available. So Iran continues to be strong. Now the Strait of Hormuz is closed. It found it open. And the issue, you might say, yes, there are some vessels that are going through, but no insurer is going to insure any vessel that is going through the Strait of Hormuz. And for as long as no insurance company can onboard a vessel going through the Strait of Hormuz, it definitely means even if Iran blows up only 2 out of the 10, no one will continue shipping oil through that. Iran, through its proxies in the Houthi in Yemen, have continued blowing up other vessels through the Red Sea, sending the oil prices, crude oil prices, nearly to $100, unprecedented. So I think America has failed to overwhelm Iran. Yes, thank you very much. That leaves Iran in a very strong position. Last week, America had signed an agreement with Saudi Arabia saying it would develop nuclear energy and do nuclear enrichment in Saudi Arabia. Immediately, Donald Trump was put under pressure by the MAGA, Make America Great Again guys, and he backtracked after pressure from Israel, and he now says until Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accord. And joining the Abraham Accord basically means you do not agree that Palestine will be free and become a state, and that means you will become complacent to the murders that are happening every day in the West Bank. Just like you saw 2 mosques were burned after skirmishes. When settlers kill people, they're only called settlers by this fake media that is international, that drives a different narrative. When a Palestinian throws a stone back, they say a terrorist threw a stone. When these guys go back and kill a whole village, they say the settlers meted violence on a Palestinian village in Nablus, burning a church and burning a mosque. When the other guys fight back, they say the Palestinian terrorists. So that reminds you of the South African apartheid, when you had settlers killing black people. They would chase them into a reserve and start hunting them, running after them while they would kill them. And after killing them, they would tie them on horses and then take them back as loot that they have gotten from the reserves. And they say, we've been hunting human beings. Muhammad Ali was talking about the same that used to happen in Texas and I think North Colorado, when you read those stories of slavery, where fleeing slaves would basically be sent into the woods and be told you've been given freedom after being castrated. And then they would start to hunt for them using hunting dogs and horses and shoot at them as wild game. So it's basically what is happening in the West Bank. They just attack a school in the morning, kill 20 children and just walk away and go home. And they go back laughing. And then the world media just says, angry settlers unalive 20 children in a Palestinian secondary school. When a Palestinian child throws a stone, they say, young terrorist, hurts. Yeah, that is it. I think Africa went through that. It was a huge phase. And that can only happen for as long as, of course, they divide the Arabs, get them free visas to enter Europe, let them go on holidays in Lamborghinis. Do the other lives matter? No way. Tell them that one is Shia and another one is Sunni. Let them fight over that. After them fighting, then come conquer all of them. So they are going to divide them and then conquer them after. I can tell you. Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia will at one time fight Iran, and after that they'll all be weak and all of them will be conquered. And that's the game plan. Yeah, I mean, for everyone that wakes up to see, just get Syria to start fighting against Lebanon, then Lebanon, let it fight. Just get them to fight one another. So before they know, the oil will be over, they'll have no riches, the monarchies will have collapsed, they'll all be weakened, they'll all be client states for the arms. Of course, who doesn't know? The arms industry in the US is it's a complex that is run by Israel. So it's basically Israel runs the USA. So for as long as it's running policy in the USA, Palestine can never be free. It can only be a dream. So they'll kill them, and kill them. You saw politicians from Israel the other time moving to Gaza, and they say now we want to take over all the land. So it was not about stopping the war, it was erasing them. Of course, the attacks, October attacks against Israel were very wrong. I don't support them. If you have war, fight as a combatant, don't attack civilians. But the response from Israel is terrible. Children dead, sportsmen maimed, stadiums cleaned, hospitals cleaned, all streets down, and now all land to be annexed. Anyway, ulira nga mukankana mangu. Kati jagala mubuuze. Just know that we are versatile. Questions after questions. Ono Mahmoud Abbas is just a puppet. He can't even say anything. He has nothing. That one in the West Bank he can't say anything. Yeah, but that's the reality. They are gonna get them to fight one another. Yeah. Now I'll take questions. Mbalaba kwe muli, mbalaba mwawe muli. When I call you up, please get yourself up quickly and ask questions. So, Honorable, is the Iran war ending soon? I don't think so. The Iran war will only end when Israel wants it to end. I think it's the key to end the Iran war is not with the US, it's with Israel. The key to end the Iran war.
Yes, Mr. Honorable.
Yes, Barrister Brown. The question. Walaikum salam. Sevo chichogam.
Osibyote riwante mukira wagusigaza ku. So, Honorable, as we are starting the live.
Quickly, buze ekibuuzo sebo.
So the burning question now is why is it that all the Gulf countries are denying Uganda the entry?
Uganda? It's because of Ebola. I told you the way you report your news here, you must manage your news. But now Uganda is Ebola free, and we still think there is room for these countries to open up now for Uganda. But it's the way you report your news. If you report your news in an unpatriotic way, and if officials here are excited to tell the world what diseases are here, I told you there is a crazy disease that is causing terrible diarrhea in the US. Have you seen that in the news?
Yeah.
No, they are restricting it in the news because some news you do not report. You handle the
On
matter,
BBS, it's linked only on BBS.
and you also show the people that you're handling it well. But if you come up with addresses every the other day, you scare away on tourists, and other countries have to buy you. So that is the reason, basically. The second reason is the behavior of some of our people there. But of course, that is not the overwhelming reason. The overwhelming reason is the issue of Ebola. Is there any other question, sir?
No, I'm still attending.
Okay. As you're still down in class, you'll go there and only tap the screen. I'm taking one by one. One by one. Come with a question. MC Junior. Oh, someone is asking fuel prices, Honorable. Yeah, let's have one of you do this. Just tap on the screen like this. Yes. Oh, yes. The fuel prices will go up. I don't think they are meant to come down in the nearest future, because the fuel we are receiving in Uganda is supposed to be the one that UNOC had ordered for the Apple lot. Yoruba is asking me, why is this fuel prices high? Why are the fuel prices high? Because all the Ugandan fuel is bought through the Ugandan National Oil Company. Now, the fuel price is not determined by the current fuel price that you have. No, it is like a chart. It is when you ordered. Now, the fuel supply for Uganda that will come in May was ordered for 3 months ago. That will be coming, in September, will be ordered like now. So the price of oil in September, you might find, will be higher.
Mr. Honorable.
The ordinary brain that is not in oil and gas, atamanyi bintu bya kusuubula kwa mafuta, might think the oil prices are determined there and then. No. When you place an order, it goes into a queue. When it goes into a queue, so you're subjected to the order you placed during that time. Why the fuel prices were kept low relatively regarding the increase in fuel prices from abroad, one is because we introduced the Uganda National Oil Company under the law in order to stabilize the prices. So we reduced and cut out the middlemen. But also, secondly, it is when you ordered this oil that is when your batch comes in. So the oil we had ordered for July, May, June, July, was ordered for in February. So the prices in February were still relatively low. I'll try to explain to you when we get to that. While we are into Honorable, please, can you give us also the statistics of Ezeza environment in Zazibawa, of computers produced, of smartphones produced? Yes, I'll tell you. No, don't co-host with me, oh man.
Mr.
Okay, Charlie.
Mr. Honorable, I'm just inquiring on on Cuba, except for communism, what did Cuba actually do to US? Because it has intensified the oil blockade on it. It has intensified of recent with Trump's rise, and the blockade has lasted 6 decades. And what did Cuba do?
Thank you very much. Let's start from here. After the Cuban Revolution that you all remember about, and the most famous people that you all know, basically it's the late, what is this old man's name?
Castro.
The late Fidel Castro. And now his brother Raul Castro, and I think there's another one who is in charge. Is this Sanchez or something? The problem with Cuba vis-a-vis America it refused after the Cold War to side with the American hegemony. Now, in the Monroe Doctrine that you had, America, after the First and Second World War, it clearly stated that it wanted also powers, since it did not participate in colonialism, of control of what we call spheres of influence. So it took up what we call the Northern Hemisphere. Now, that hemisphere that has North and South America, plus the Caribbean, was to be controlled by America. And listen, this is something you ought to understand. When the white man talks about control, most of them, they are talking about something that they inherently think is a right to them. Historically, what you call the white supremacists still believe that all human beings that are not white are closer to animals. Do you understand, Charlie?
Wow.
They believe that those are the ones you hear that talk about immigrants, not that America belonged to the white people. Actually, the Americas belonged to the Red Indians.
Yeah.
When Europe became overpopulated, they forced people out of Europe to go and find the newfound lands. Now, have you heard about Oceania? Have you heard about Australia and New Zealand?
Yeah, it had blacks and
Aborigines. You know those people?
yeah.
You know what happened? You know what happened to them?
They were pushed, ethnic cleansed.
They were killed. They were hunted like animals. Killed, and new states were formed. Because it was like a world of survival. Now, the history, most of the history was erased. You've had areas like Fiji,
Yeah.
Oceania. So the same happened in South Africa when the Boers came through the Great Trek. Because the pressure on land in Netherlands was so small, they started the Great Trek by pushing out families that were mainly farming families. That's where you had people like Piatre, TX, Sarel, Sirayas, and others come down to the Cape of Good Hope. That's why they first sent out explorers to find out the new trading areas. So explorers were not coming for picnic. They were coming as surveyors to look for good land where it was available. Then slowly, where they did not want war, they sent pacifiers in form of missionaries because they were smart. They said, you know what, in order to pacify and divide these strong kingdoms, send their religion. Whosoever does not accept, we fight them. That is why all those that did not accept the Protestant religion immediately were fought by Lugard. So Lugard came with the missionaries from the Church Missionary Society. They were all coming from Britain. But remember, Lugard was a mercenary, formerly from the British Army, running the Imperial British East African Company. So this company was coming to a place like Uganda to annex us on behalf of Britain. So you pay the company, which had armed mercenaries. Have you heard of the Russian forces called Wagner?
Yes, I know the Russian Wagner group, which has recently lost its general.
This Russian Wagner group, for example, protects the countries like Central African Republic. But it is part of the Russian paramilitary, but it's run, you pay it as the private army.
Yeah.
So this would happen to things like what you had, Ibiako, Imperial British East African Company. Now, in that company, they had explorers who came from the Royal Geographical Society. These were mainly surveyors and geologists. And those are the ones that were putting mark stones wherever they were finding, and then excavating the soil and seeing which soil was good and fertile, which one was close to the water, And how did you know that someone like Leopold immediately knew that there was diamond in Congo? Because exploration studies had begun as back as 1600 in Europe. So they had the knowledge. Yes, for us who were bushmen and we had kingdoms sitting on the gold that we have. Just like today I was interacting with a friend from Karamoja in the morning. And he was saying, Honorable, gold waffe no bamutwala ne mubuuza oyinza okumbulira w'omumanyi waali naga ate mumanyi. Now,
Yeah, by the way, when you stay in Kabong, a place like Kabong, it's hard to realize there is gold
yeah, definitely
being transported.
You see, the moment you don't have the knowledge, everything of yours is for tax. Now, what happened? America took up that as its sphere of influence. And when did that start? After the First World War. You remember, after the First World War, Germany and these other countries had been weakened through the war. So you had Woodrow Wilson coming to negotiate on behalf of the United States of America.
Yes.
And the first thing he proposed was the creation of the League of Nations. After the creation of the League of Nations, then he said, no, we can get a neutral country. So Switzerland declared its neutrality.
Yes.
And therefore, it would become the host of the new world body, which would be the League of Nations, that would accept all independent countries to come and sit on the table. And the first African country to join the League of Nations was
Ethiopia.
Very good. Now that you remember. Now, when they start up the League of Nations, its aim was basically to say, one, together we should stop the outbreak of any other war that would be as disastrous as this, because the First World War was one of the wars where many Europeans died. The white man first saw death on his doorstep. So, during the Second World War, of course, after the breakdown of the world order, the resurgence of Hitler came up, resurged again, mobilized. Having known that they had defeated Germany, Kaiser William, I think the second. So this guy says, no way, we have to come back. Because you see, German, through that region, RUHR, I think, through the Rhine, was the center of manufacturing and energy production. So Germany, since time immemorial, has been a very rich country. And the Germans previously controlled Europeans themselves.
Yes.
Other than the annex, you see, even when they came to Africa, they weren't interested a lot. They picked up Namibia,
Tanzania,
and probably some part of Cameroon, and said, this is enough. But you see, Germany had colonized countries like Hungary, Austria. So the Germans were so powerful that they controlled they colonized the fellow Europeans. That's like what you hear, what is called the British Empire.
yes,
Amongst their first colonies, the first colonies of Britain, was Ireland. Have you heard about the Irish genocide?
I have not heard about that.
The Irish were potato farmers. You read about it. These were farmers. And the Scottish. And they were colonized. They were colonized. You understand? Canada, etc. Even USA was a colony of Britain. Until the 7 Years' War, you remember?
Yeah.
That was 1776 to 1783, if I recollect. The 7 Years' War, that where the French helped them to fight against, you remember?
The migrants from the armies from USA under Louis the 16th.
Yes, sent a legion, a big legion from France to go and fight on behalf of the Americans in order for them to get independence, not knowing that the returning soldiers would overthrow him, because what they had seen in the US they had not seen at home. So anyway, because the U.S. Constitution was after the Declaration of Independence, I think on July what 4th or something like that, 1783. The issue was the principle of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Now these people did not have it, and then they say, now we've been fighting for these Americans to get liberty, but we ourselves do not enjoy liberty back at home. So, anyway, in the nutshell, I'm trying to tell you one thing, why Cuba has remained what it is, coming from that brief history. The Cubans are Latinos.
Yeah.
These are mixtures of whites and Indians. And they were potentially farmers and very proud people. People like Marco Rubio and others, you can see them. They are Muzungus, but with different futures.
Yeah.
So Cuba refused to be part of the USA, to be annexed as part of the United States. It's a very beautiful island.
Yeah.
You know, it normally survives hurricanes, even when at times they come. It's strategically located near Florida. It's
Mr. President, I'm just consulting. How comes Obama, as a moderate person, was unable to free Cuba? Can there be a president who can?
No, in the US, it is very hard for a president to determine foreign policy. Foreign policy in the US is run by the CIA. And whosoever comes in as the president just sits into the script. So it will take a very, 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 very hard president to change the tide of the boat. Because there you're in auto drive. Yes, you're sitting as president, but they will tell you, Your Excellence, thank you, you've been elected, but this is how things are run. Then you say, yes, this is how things are run. Cuba is our enemy. But if you ask them why is it our enemy, they will not say anything. You know? And I still believe Cuba, if USA trades with China, why wouldn't USA trade with Cuba? Because China is a communist state. Cuba is a country that has produced more doctors than anyone in the world per capita. Amazing surgeons. It is self-sustaining in many ways other than in form of power and energy. For me, the biggest problem is the hypocrisy of Russia and the non-presence of China to help its allies. Because I'll give you an example. Whereas China does not recognize that Taiwan is independent, America has stood toe to toe with Taiwan to protect it and also fund its economy and even bring factories to that
Taiwan.
But the reason America wants a blockade on Cuba so that it continues to portray to you that you see the poverty next door, it is caused by communism. But forgetting that there are countries that are capitalistic, that are not Cuba, in South America, like Haiti. Haiti is not
failed state.
The Caribbean, Jamaica. Why are they poor? Why is Bolivia poor? Why is Ecuador poor? Because they went for politics of identity and they left out politics of progress. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, just like
that there are no Bazungu. In Ecuador, there are both Bazungu and blacks. Why is Argentina a broke country, even when it has Bazungu in the southern hemisphere? I mean, in South America.
They went for politics. They were racial. They are racist.
But you see, to show you the scarecrow of communism, they cannot have a successful Cuba. And then they tell their people that communism is bad. Now, do you understand the issue?
Yes, I've now understood the proper issue.
They must make sure that any communist state that is near them is extremely poor, living in dire conditions, because for their politics to survive, you must use a threat in order to garner people to support your foreign wars. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Today in the US, there has been, I think in Seattle or something, unfortunately, and we sympathize with the families, a loss of life of some of the people due to a shooting spree by one of the US people in the US.
Yes.
Our condolences to the families. Condolence goes out to the families and those that have lost loved ones, even those that have been injured. But look at the reporting of the fake media there. They say deadly shooting leaves 3 dead and as many injured. They don't blame anyone for anything because it is not a Muslim who participated in this shooting.
Not terrorism.
No. When an attack claimed, and unfortunately it should not have happened, we really commensurate with those people, and our condolences to the Jewish gentleman and the Indian who was killed. These are all Americans, one Jewish, another an Indian, in an attack. When the guy was Abdul or something, whatever name, they said a terror attack inspired by Mamdani. Inspired by Mamdani.
That's the euphemism I'm talking about.
They even said inspired by Mamdani's speech, as if the killer told them that he was inspired by Mamdani's speech. They can't say,
like as if he incited.
Inspired by what he sees on TV in Gaza. They say, no, inspired by Mamdani's speech.
That arrestee.
The other one, they say, it was a shooting by one crazy guy. He needs mental checkup. Because now this one is called Joseph something. Do you understand what I'm saying?
The euphemism, the way they cover the news.
So this is the same way they do it for Cuba. They say this communist. That's why when President Trump wanted to demonize the resurgence of Mamdani, he said this socialist communist, because they used to use that terminology. And
yeah, even in movies, you find that as if communism is the worst thing, like it's a terrorism.
I'll tell you why. Because why America plays on the minds of its own people. That is why TikTok is something that has changed America so much. Because before, America would control the narrative and information that goes to its people. By the way, America is one of the countries that has terrible literacy levels.
Yeah, they are dense when you ask them about
dense, but I don't want to use that. They are
okay. The right word would be they don't know things.
But most are not aware of many things that are beyond the United States. Why? Because America jealously guards what they call TV and information flow within. So they'll never show you exactly what happens. So they had Facebook. Do you know why Facebook lost it? It's because Facebook was only following the American playbook and the CIA playbook.
Yeah.
TikTok came through, it blew it through the roof. And the reason was saying, just post whatever you want and the whole world would see. That is why they fought hard to have the American TikTok version bought by the owner of Oracle. And the reason is a Jewish lobbyist who is for Israel. And whatever news comes out, he will touch the algorithm and not spread the news to as many users. So when you create that story that comes out of Gaza, of people killed, they blind it.
Okay.
You understand?
I've understood.
Whatever we may talk about Trump, but also Trump has one good thing. Do you know that Joe Biden,
Yes.
wanted to ban TikTok.
Yeah.
It even went up to Congress.
Yeah.
So
it's like choosing a microphone for something that's an individual has done.
You know, Trump did not do that. And people still say Trump is worse than Joe Biden.
Trump is not worse than Joe Biden.
And Joe Biden clearly tried to, even the entire Senate and Congress wanted to, because TikTok was the one bringing the news about Gaza. And Biden was very indifferent. He didn't talk about the ceasefire. He didn't do anything. He was passive. So whether the ceasefire holds in Gaza or not, Trump did something.
Yeah, the first ceasefire.
Whether the first or the last, Trump did something. Goodness me, Joe Biden did completely nothing. Like, Joe Biden would continue arming Israel and folding his hands like this. And he would say, we've urged Israel not to overbomb, but we've given it more bombs. And they would send that black guy who was the head of the military, goodness me, he lands with another plane of bombs in Israel. And Biden says, are you sure they bombed? Then they tell Biden, sir, they killed 4,000 people. He said, oh.
He was weak and forgetful also.
Then he would say, I'm going to call Benjamin Netanyahu and tell him not to kill those many. But you also know we have we have to protect Israel. Then he sends more bombs. You know,
Israel has a right to defend itself.
The level of hypocrisy that is with the leadership.
Sir, I think to US is like this. But for them, they might not be so wise, but at least they will be able to vote for a leader that is wise.
Anyway, we've talked about a lot, but hands off for one leader I can say is a very strong guy, whether we want him or not. Hands off for Netanyahu. Netanyahu has proven to the whole world that he can control everyone.
He can break every rule.
The latest success, Netanyahu, hats off for you, breaking apart ICC.
That judge.
The prosecutor of ICC, Karim Khan, was voted out by the majority countries through fake, what we can say, fake, a fake suspicion of crime. Yeah. Oh my God. Now, Netanyahu, hands off for you, because he's a smart guy. He knows how to make Saudi Arabia start fighting with Iran. He just whispers to America and says, President Donald, just tell that Saudi guy that Iran is coming. Then these two Muslim guys fight. He knows how to set up Qatar. Then he tells the US, don't launch a missile from here, please launch it from Bahrain. Then immediately, of course, Iran must respond. So Iran also hammers Bahrain. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, Netanyahu is just seated there, crossing his legs, cross-legged, as these Muslim guys are fighting. Boom, 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 boom. So the moment
he always says that Iran is close to a nuclear weapon, and
the moment they are all weak, he will take down all of them. Kudos. So,
okay.
Mulala, thank you. Your question taken. They don't want Gava. I can so HT1. I want questions. My answers are ready. geopolitics, local politics, everywhere, and then versatile, even if you come in sports. Today is a Q&A. Question and answer session today. Yes. Your question, my brother. Who is this? I think Mwesigwa is sick. Let me pick on another person. Oweekitiibwa Wadabada.
Yes, Honorable. Good evening.
Good evening, Baba. Okobotia.
Ndiwo, you know where I am, but at least I'm a good student. I don't always want to miss out on important issues. Yeah, my question, I think it was yesterday, I was scrolling around and I saw Trump releasing the Honduras president. Remember, he was charged in the Biden administration for cocaine and drug trafficking. But the same Trump recently arrested the Venezuelan president, I think Maduro. Are these double standards that every president has to come and arrest someone over implicated charges? Or what is the essence in this?
I think you have a point. Of course, is it illegal to abduct presidents of other countries? Whether it's by Trump or by his nemesis, America has continued to do this. So for me, what I clearly state is that it is important to maintain the world order, but is America going to follow it? The answer is no. America is not going to follow the world order. So that's it. So whether Trump releases the other one and then this one captures this one, remember, I think there is also a Haitian president also that was captured. It's just the rule of the jungle. So they want to show you they are above ICC. They can get whomsoever they want. Either kill you if you're an Iranian president or something, or abduct you if they can. That is a way to exert pressure. And after that, of course, they are the leaders in preaching human rights. Someone was asking me, Honorable, I've been reading statistics, and 12,000 people were imprisoned, were arrested in the UK for digital crimes. For digital crimes. Now that is a big number. Yusuf.
I think I've gotten the answer and I've understood. It's not all about rule of law, it's all about supremacy.
That's absolutely, you got it. That is how you follow the red card being overturned.
Okay, Honorable. Good night.
Honorable.
Perspective is another
Bujye barekosibo.
kale naye gye balesera.
Galisibo. Nze oyogedde nnyo ku West issues naye nze my concern is only one about our government. Honorable, I have one concern. Why does our national army doesn't allow aged between 35 to 40 to join the army forces? Many people in this age group are unemployed, and due to the limited opportunities, some end up on the streets, creating social and economic challenges for our communities. The army is one of the institutes that can instill discipline, provide valuable skills, and offer meaningful employment. Can we talk about that, and we know what the root cause of that?
Well, I'm not the spokesperson of the army, but let me give the rare view. For me, the rare view is about professionalization of the forces. And what we have at the moment, the outfit we have, generally speaking, in many countries, they would not recruit someone between 35 and 40 for the obvious reasons that most people during this age have many challenges, including having children. You understand what I'm saying? And their concentration levels will be very low. They have what we call formed judgment, which works less in the army, and their desires are defined. The army is not an outfit that takes up people who have specific goals. For someone to allow to be employed between 35 and 40 is someone who has basically been hit by the world and is looking for what we call safe haven. Now, that's not what the army takes. For example, if you are to bring in what we call Air Force pilots, what is the probability that you recruit someone above age 35 and above? The answer is, it's not advisable. If you are to go in combat to walk long distances, what would be the performance output by a young man of 22 vis-a-vis someone of 35 and 40? Ordinarily, one of 40 is able to be even a grandfather. So you recruit him at the rank of private. Let's look at his growth curve. If you're to retire someone in 20 years, at what rank would you retire someone who has entered at 40 for 20 years in what service? And how many other courses are you going to take him for? I think that can be for specialized services. For example, you're recruiting guys that are experts in IT.
That's what exactly I wanted to inform.
I'm coming. I'm not the spokesperson of the army, but I'm just giving you.
We are just discussing.
Okay. So for those in specialized fields like medical doctors, ICT practitioners, you'd recruit them to provide those specialized services for the purposes you have. For example, chemical engineers, if you have a chemical production plant, not that they are not useful, but those you need for infantry bases, which is the majority of the people. I wouldn't think you would open up for an age group of 35 to 40. Because how many people between the age 35 and 40 can make 30 laps?
That one, Honorable, for that of infantry is very difficult, but we are talking about experts, at least.
Yes, you see, I'm trying to tell you that you should understand the army that we have. It's not as mechanized as European armies or Western armies.
That's the challenge.
That is the biggest challenge, because look at the wars that you fight. So basically, if I'm to send you to Somalia, or if you are to be sent to Congo, what sort of forces do you need if you're a commander? Do you need someone between 35 and 50?
No, we need infantry.
And it's infantry. Galavani.
But see, we have some people who are so expert in such kind of tertiaries you have talked about, but those ones also, they are still limited. So
for specialized services, they should be able to open up. You understand? But also, after recruiting and training these ones, then you deploy some of them to go and start a specialized field. Maybe chemical engineering, drone movement, ICT, and others from your own recruits. In a space of 2 to 3 years, definitely you will have many young recruits who will garner experience much more than these older ones that you have. Basically, the burden of the older ones, ordinarily someone above 35 would come with the burden of children. So imagine you are at the battlefront and someone is being called to pay school fees. How do you motivate such a fighter?
We just divert his mission.
Exactly. That's why in combat, all those you hear that are dying, let's say in Jordan, 19, 22, Oliver Amalo Kweza 25. These guys in the US just go for 1 tour of 6 months on the sea and when they come back, asabirawo retirement at 23. So it's not usable anyway. Because basically it would be, you go through the army, and if you want to retire at